Welcome back, everybody, to another Should You Watch here on the channel. I am Jeremy, and today I am joined by Elaine here. And it's just the two of us today, and we're going to be discussing Mysteria Friends.
Which is an anime which takes place in a prestigious magic school where the students learn, surprise, surprise, magic. And it follows the friendship of our two main characters. There's Grea, a half-human, half-dragon, a dragonborn, not to be confused with the Dovahkiin, very different. And Anne, who is a princess and also very good in the magical arts. She's also considered, like a honor student, essentially. I read that off the box. And we're just going to talk about this anime, the problems with it, what we think, and whether or not we think you should watch it.
Yes, they're both princesses, actually.
They are, but
Grea is also a princess.
Grea more on the down low, but they always refer to, it's kind of interesting, they always refer to Anne, like any student who greets her, most of the teachers don't even call her Anne.
The princess.
It's always like, oh, hi, princess. Like, no one really calls her Anne.
Yeah.
Except for Grea, but no one ever calls Grea princess, even though she is also a princess.
In this anime,
spoilers.
There should be an Anne counter up in the corner because Grea says Anne so many times. I mean, Anne says Grea a lot, but Grea says Anne a hell of a lot more. So what did we think of the appearance of this anime, the art style?
So I think it was a pretty solid, very traditional anime style. I think Grea's design was a lot more unique. Her outfits were better. Anne was a little more samey for me, just kind of like generic schoolgirl. She reminded me a lot, for whatever reason, of Luthia from Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? What do you think?
I think the art style is really nice. The way that they draw landscapes and scenery and the shots that have weather impacting them were really nice. Like the rain, they're very detailed with the rain. They're also very detailed with the wind moving the sakura blossoms. That was very nice.
The interior of the library was very complex too.
The interior of the library had like that clockwork kind of CGI thing in the middle,
and some other
which was
interesting
nice.
Features, like with the water between the bookshelves, which probably is a little impractical for storing books.
But it's a magical school, so I like the area with the piano.
Yeah,
that's very nice, and they make it in a manner that gives it like the reverence that I think that kind of an area deserves.
We'll say like some of the shots, for lack of a better phrase, images were seeped in certain colors. Like there was one section that was like very deeply red. There are some sections that are very, very dark, and that there's some that are very, very light in contrast. And even though like there are a lot of bright colors and it's all like visually very stunning, the way I want an anime to be, there are moments when it's just like, why did you make that color choice? That was bizarre.
There was the one thing in, I think it was episode 2 with all of the red in the room. That was
Grea was sick.
Yeah. That was very, very interesting that it was like everything was red. They do a lot of golden hour stuff where it's like the sunset at time and everybody's bathed in golden light and all that kind of stuff. The magic is handled fairly well. They do have a CGI element to it typically, but I think it works well and they don't overdo it. Honestly, for these students that go to a magical school, there's not that much magic, honestly.
Which I think was interesting. And to get into my first problem with it, there really wasn't a lot to do with school in general. Like they had a testing area, they had like school drills, and I think like a school trip more or less. But in the grand scheme of things, like the setting really didn't matter. It didn't really impact the story at all. Like the story could have just as easily been set in like an office building, in the workplace, or, between orphans in an orphanage. Like it just didn't really impact the characters other than like, oh, I have to study today. And that was basically it. And it's like, well, anyone in this age group is going to have to study at some point because I'm assuming they're going to school. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah, the setting was not very fleshed out. It was not very much part of the story. I mean, it had some elements where it kind of bled in, like you said, with the exams and then with the drills that they did and the way that the living situation was, the trips that they went on. Like these things kind of worked for what they were because they wanted to make a story that was in this age range. So in order for it to be in this age range, it kind of had to be school. In order for them to be essentially high school age, they had to be in some kind of a school setting. They weren't going to be in the workplace. They weren't going to be in...
but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it didn't really matter much.
Yeah, it didn't really impact the story. So what was the other problem that you had that you talked about?
To build off of that idea was like the world building was non-existent. Like if you read the back of the box, if you read, articles online, whatever descriptions, they're like, oh, it's this prestigious magic school where 3 races go and it's gods, humans, and demons. And I'm like, what? Because some of these people look like elves.
It says that on the box.
Yeah, it says that on the box and everywhere.
I feel like they never
humans,
mentioned.
demons. Never mentioned. Some of the people don't look like any of those things. I mean, I think there were a few cat girls. There were, things with like little bat wings. There are ones with the pointy ears. I'm assuming they were elves.
I
I
mean, they look
honestly
like
thought
elves,
they
yeah.
were elves the entire freaking time. I am very surprised that's not the case. Some of the descriptions I read said that these factions are constantly at war, and it's weird for them to kind of be harmonious in this school. And I'm like,
You never get a sense for that.
like at the end, they're like, oh, it might be bad if these two nations fought each other. But like other than that, there was like literally like I didn't even know there were other nations. I just thought they all lived in this place. That was Mysteria, and that's it. Like I literally thought that was it. I had no idea there were other places, that there were wars, that there's any conflict, that nothing was harmonious. I mean, you can assume like at the end of the day that sometimes like these things would happen, because I can't imagine any sort of world where there's absolutely no conflict. But the fact that this, at least from the boxes context and other, places online, seems like a major point that's being made, that it wasn't expressed in the anime at all seems a little problematic.
Yeah, it wasn't really important to the story that they were telling, but then you don't really need to advertise it as something like that. They really didn't do any world building until towards the end. They started mentioning a couple of things. It seems like something that has the ability to grow if they were ever to make a second season or something. I'm not sure what the plans on it or what it's adapted from, but if they were ever making any additional content, they could flesh out that world from the little bits. But it really wasn't important to the story that they were telling, because deep down this was a story of a growing friendship, and perhaps more than a friendship, between Anne and Grea, and that's really the centerpiece of the anime. And I think at times it really like hits a good mark with that kind of theme, where they definitely seem like they're growing this relationship and this friendship, and it's obviously that there's a tension there, I think gets fleshed out fairly well. And you definitely see that there's this dynamic between them where they're both kind of trying to navigate social norms and things like that, it's interesting. I think they do a decent job.
I would agree that the world building definitely, obviously it wasn't a focal point. It really wasn't a feature in this anime at all. And it wasn't necessarily the most important thing for the story. But I think if you're telling a story, you really need to establish a setting. And I feel like that's something that's a lot easier to do with this medium than, let's say, a book, where every word matters and like the way you use those words really matter. Because if you don't paint a picture very well with your words, you're going to throw people off. Like, this is a visual medium. You can cheat a little with this sort of medium. And they just kind of wasted that, in my opinion. But to go back to what you were saying, like, their friendship does develop, but at times I really don't understand why Grea is friends with Anne. She seems kind of bothered by her. She comments about how Anne is creepy. I called her like a level 1 creeper the entire anime, because Anne does some questionable things, like comment about how awesome Grea's scent is. She hugs her when Grea is naked, and it's like, that seems like not something just a level like a normal friend would do with their female friend. Like, I am a female. I had lots of female friends growing up, and I could tell you that was not a thing that happened between us. And I'm pretty confident that all of my friends and their friends didn't do that either with just friends.
Yeah, but I mean, she also doesn't want to be just friends.
It's strongly implied that I think the two of them want to be more than friends, but they never really committed to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of like kind of baiting to that degree, and that's probably one of my biggest problems with it, is that there's not a lot of like not explicit in terms of like the content, like visual content, but in terms of their like terminology on what they use with each other, because like they never really address those issues. They just kind of skate around them, and you kind of have to put the pieces together based on context. I mean, I do think that it does a decent job of kind of portraying what they are like with each other and like what they want to be with each other. And it, it gets to a point where you can see what the future might be. But I do agree on certain things. Like, they do seem to have a lot of like butting heads moments where it's like, this is kind of weird that you guys are even friends some of the time. But I think the positives of their friendship and their relationship outweigh those moments.
It's kind of hit or miss for me with the episodes, because I think they go back and forth a lot, and they seem to cycle every few episodes until the end of the story, where things get a little more stable. But again, I think Anne's behavior is very peculiar at times. I think she's the one that's definitely more outwardly flirtatious. Like, she'll touch Grea's tail, and apparently that's stimulating for Grea. for lack of a better word. And Grea gets, you know, the bashful, the red. Like, she seems someone who's like, oh, you're flirting with me. Like, like the shy little, like, I like this, but also I don't want to like this, or I don't know if I should like this.
She has a lot of insecurities, Grea, which they don't really delve into. And I kind of wish they would delve into more of the reason why that's there. I don't feel like they delve a lot into them each individually. Like, I don't feel like they give you a lot of backstory on why they are the way that they are. But they don't really delve into either one of them enough where I think they give them the characterization that they deserve. So moving beyond kind of our thoughts on the individual aspects of the anime, what do you think people should do with this anime? Do you think they should watch it?
I think it could be worth a try if you want something short and something simple and you're not expecting anything like particularly like in depth or, you know, like particularly moving. Like, it's not like Anohana where you're gonna cry after 12 episodes like a little baby, because I had the snot icky tears after that one. It's not really gonna get your heart pumping. I mean, you might be like, ooh, that's kind of cute, but like other than that, it's not great, it's not bad. There's some weird parts. I do like, you know, the art a lot. I think visually is one of the better animes I've seen, but it's also nothing really special. I do like that this one does have more of a like LGBTQ friendly bent though, because I feel like you don't really see that with main characters in a lot of animes, and I've realized there are tons of animes, and I might be completely lying to myself right now.
In terms of like the mainstream popular ones every season.
But, you know, like it's not as common as...
So,
you know,
yes or no? Should they watch?
Again, like, if you feel like it, you want something short, great. But, I mean, I don't feel like it's anything to go out of your way for, which I feel like is my classic answer. It's all right. Maybe if you feel like it. I don't know.
Elaine doesn't give the best answers for a segment called Should You Watch, because it's very rarely a yes or no. But
I mean, I say no to romance all the time, Jeremy.
I think that you should give this a shot. I think it's good for a one-night binge. It's worth a watch because it's very pretty. Like some of the characters and designs are nice. It'll hold your attention. I think it held my attention. I watched it in one night.
You're also easy to please.
Yes, that's true. So I'm going to say, should you watch? Yes. And another thing that you should watch is these Should You Watch episodes that are coming out on the channel.
Shameless plugging.
Yes. You should also like them. Leave a like down below. Make sure that thumbs up button is blue. Leave a comment down below if you check this out. Do you have any other kind of LGBT friendly romance kind of things similar to this that you can recommend to us, and maybe we can give it a shot?
Not romance.
I know she doesn't like romance, but I can
of romance.
But I can torture her by making her watch romance.
No.
Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of this content going forward, and ring that bell so you know what's up, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Hey, all you kings, queens, and in-betweens. I just wanted to let you know that the folks over at Primal TCG have set up a promo for just our viewers. Use the promo code KINGS10 at shop.primaltcg.com for $10 off your purchase. I recommend popping in for the deck box bundle. For just $60 and $50 with our code, you get one of their premium deck boxes and their extended promo bundle, including a promo pack, a pre-release pack, and 2 demo decks. Everything you need to get started.